8 years, because this year you went with me, 8 years, I would go to the homeschool convention in Orlando. It was my weekend off. I
actually told her to get out of the house for the weekend.
He told me I had to leave. He goes, you must go away from this house. And I said, well, it's expensive. I don't think you should go. He goes, well, that's fine. You don't have to go there, but you are not going to be in this house during this weekend. And so you might as well go there, but you're not going to be here. And he goes, I'm going to take the kids, and you're having a weekend off. You don't have to cook. You don't have to do anything. You can go spend money. He goes, but you're out of this house, and you're gone. You need to recharge, both for our marriage and also for your parenting. And I'm going, yeah! But here's the thing. The first time I came back, and I was surprised at how many McDonald's bags there were.
Or Chick-fil-A.
Or Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A wasn't around yet. Or pizza boxes, or the dishes hadn't been touched, no homework was accomplished. No. I didn't have a realistic expectation. My realistic expectation should have been, the kids are alive, you didn't lose them, they've been fed. Those are my expectations now. So when I get home from my weekend away, hey, you have them both here? They're both still breathing? We're good! Because it's really dangerous if I expect him to watch the kids and I expect him to also do the dishes and get the homework done. That's not going to happen. And instead, that's just going to leave us having an argument. So let's talk about realistic things that your spouse will do and say, hey, you know what? When I walk in and he happened to not only feed the kids, but get the dishes done, you are a man. You are my hero. I knew I married the right man. You were the best man on this earth. And so, one is realistic plan, but also communicate when your spouse meets those expectations, because you probably are all easy women to live with. I'm a little bit more work. And so for me, it's great to praise my husband going, wow, I mean, you always show me, not just tell me, because I'm the person, you can tell me you love me all day long. It's like My Fair Lady, words, words, words. That's not going to do it. Show me. And so my husband, he does these little things, and I'm going, and I have to tell him, because sometimes he'll go, I did this, and he wants to make sure, he waits until I walk into the kitchen to actually turn the button on of the dishwasher. In other words, he loaded it, but it doesn't count unless I see him turn the button on and close it and go, and it's all of a sudden starts the whoosh, and I'm going, wow, you are awesome. You are amazing. And we have these little things to let us know, honey, I'm meeting your expectations. And I'm going, I love you. And there are things back for him. He is not a puppy. I'm a puppy. We'll talk about personalities, but I'm the puppy. I like to be petted. I like, when he holds my hand. I like those things. He's very different. I pet him too much and he starts getting antsy. So he's more of the cat. I'm going to come and meet your needs. And this last week, someone was over, and I'm like, hold on, you know what? It's already now 2. I know my husband should have eaten at 12. Let me just go make him a sandwich real quick. I brought him a sandwich, and we have company over, and all of a sudden I put the sandwich and the chips in front of his computer where he's working, and he's got 3 monitors up, and he's going, and all of a sudden he sees that sandwich, and all of a sudden he grabs my arm. I'm already like walking on. I'm like, okay, I took care of you. Right, next thing, and he grabs my arm, pulls me out of this kiss, and he goes, I love you, because for him, you fed me. You fed me, and I need you to know how precious that was, that you took the time out of talking to another woman from the church and helping somebody else. You took the time out to make sure that I was taken care of.
Especially when you add in that time issue with the feeding thing. All right, anyway.
Forgive and show grace. Your spouse is not going to be able to meet every one of your expectations. It's not sinful. It's not. But it is going to have some hurt sometimes. Now, there's one thing that every single one of you brought into your marriage that's dangerous. Okay? Ready for this? Every single one of you is a sinner. And you each married another sinner. So at some point, there are going to be hurts, there are going to be trials, there are going to be actual sin that you need to be able to be ready to forgive like Christ forgave us. And so sometimes those hurts are going to be small, sometimes they're going to be big. Sometimes they're big hurts that are really over nothing. Those are the best ones, right? They take so long to really get fixed again, but it's really over something so little. But those sinful hurts, it's because we're sinners that we can sit there and say, you know what, my God gave me grace, and I want to give that grace to you. And that's sometimes one of those hardest things. But as we're growing closer to the Lord, I've been able to look at Lance and say, you know what, sometimes that just bugs me, but I know that my sin bugs my God a whole lot more. And so as I constantly have that in front of my mind, having the cross in front of my mind, it's so much easier to forgive my husband who did something so little that was not sinful, that just hurt me or bugged me, and yet I'm able to give so much grace because I can remember that constantly. Look at what I did in my sin, and yet Jesus, in the midst of being a God-hater, died on a cross for me. Of course I can forgive this, or get over this, or deal with this crazy that I'm feeling right now.
Scott,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want to share two things. One thing Lance said many, many years ago to me, I didn't know if we were having a disagreement or something was happening, and he says, you know what I love about our family, and he was including John and I in that mix. He says, you know, whenever something happens and it's over, he says, with our family, it's over. There's no residue, and I thought that was a great compliment coming from my son-in-law, that he had been in the family for some time, and he knew it wasn't like right in the very beginning. He had already experienced, us all being together, and when you're all together and you're, all up in somebody's face a lot, things happen, words are said, and I love the fact that he said there's never ever any residue left over, and he said I love that. And also in our family, we suck it back. Would you like to share the suck it back principle? Because I think this is vital.
Words have a lot of power. Words can sting, and words can sort of like resonate in your mind for years to come. And some things, these words just slip out of our mouths, whether we've had a bad day or whatnot, but that's still out there in the air. And so in our family, there is this widespread, I've even spread it to my little school, that I'm like, that really stunk. You just said something that really hurt, and all of a sudden he goes, well, what did I say? Wait a minute, I didn't mean it. Hold on, let me suck it back. And it's like literally, I need to suck it back out of the air because I need it not floating around your brain for the next 3 years. That I said this horrible thing that I didn't even mean in the first place. It just somehow, I don't know what these words did, but my brain was on a hiatus, and I did not mean that.
So part of that for me is that kind of coming from my family that had that sarcastic attitude, they also had a tendency not to let stuff go. So one of the heights of entertainment at a family gathering was to bring up all the embarrassing old stories that weren't necessarily funny. A lot of times they were hurtful or sarcastic, and it was funny to other people, but not to the person they did.
And when hurtful words are said, when you have a little bit of levity, and that's already in your family mix, that's already part of your communication process, and everybody in the family knows what it's for and what it does and what it accomplishes. And that hurtful thing is said like that, and you go, suck it back, and the other person goes, and all of a sudden there is a tension breaker, because you got this tension level. It's like atmosphere. It's like right here, and it immediately, breaks that. It breaks the cycle.
It does.
So when we get to talking about arguing, we're going to talk about the rules of arguing, and one of them is do not, once something is fixed, don't bring it back.
And I want to be patient. Be patient. So I was looking at for the 1 Corinthians 13 as we were looking at this whole thing. I said, I would like to be able to pull in parts of 1 Corinthians 13 to every one of our episodes. And the very first one, love is patient. And we have to be patient with our expectations that our spouse can help meet those, because sometimes they're needs, sometimes they're not. So we have to have the patience to let them meet those expectations or meet those needs. And then we also have to have the grace when it's not really a need and we need to move on. So one last thing, on the back of your page on the bottom, it showed you how people had expectations about Jesus. They expected him to be able to take on Rome. They expected him to be able to get them out of slavery. They expected him to free them as a nation. And yet he didn't come for that. And he forgave, even on the cross, those that expected things of him, but they did not come true. He did not meet those expectations because that's not what he came for. Let's go and pray.